Hi Fringers, Tatawao, welcome, there is room. Fringing is for everyone, and everyone is fringing. My name is Erin. I'm grateful to serve our community as Development Director with Fringe Theatre. I spent 10 fabulous years as a festival artist before joining the administrative team. Our festival has created exceptional artistic experiences, propelled artistic careers, and put Edmonton on the map as a creative engine. We've supported more than 43,000 artists. You ensure artists have the essentials: the stage, the lights, the sound, even the seats you're sitting in. Head on over to fringetheatre.ca to learn how you can sustain Fringe. Now, please silence those devices, sit back, and enjoy the show.
I am gonna make it through this year if it kills me. I am gonna make it through this year if it kills me.
So here we are, first day of senior year. I'm walking from Drama 483, Elements of Directing, to my new apartment building. Last night, my mom and I picked up a U-Haul, and with my brother's help, we packed it up. My class is done at noon. My inspection is booked for 1 p.m. with my elevator at 1:30. The building has a loading dock, but I've been reassured it didn't need to be booked. I did follow up a couple days ago, though, as I hadn't actually got the confirmation on the elevator booking, so color me surprised when I get the following response.
Hello. The front desk just told me that the elevator was booked all day on September 1st. She also mentioned that you've booked the loading dock for September 2nd.
After some panic back and forth explaining that no, I was very much moving in on the 1st, we came up with a new agreement. I would have the loading dock from noon to 1. The inspection is now booked for 12:30, and I have the elevator from 1 to 2. I get to the building at 12:10, I spot the U-Haul with the aliens and direct my mom to the loading dock. She beams at me and hands over an envelope.
This just came in this morning. I figured you'd probably want to see it.
I open it, and I'm holding my legal name change certificate. Old name... Okay, the show has a lot of bits that rely on you knowing my birth name, so just be cool. I don't want to hear in the trans group chat that people are going around asking for dead names. So, we good? Good. Okay, old name Mariah, new name Rye. Growing up, no one could ever get my name right. I got everything from Mary to Martin, although that last one didn't bother me as much for some reason. But by far the most common was Maria. So when it came time to choose my new name, I decided to take the syllable that was always there, but that people just didn't recognize. Mariah. Rye. But spelled like the word, only 3 letters, so that I'm never ever gonna have to worry about someone getting it wrong again. And now it's legal. But I barely have a second to celebrate before I get a call letting me know my friends Keegan, B, and B's cousin have arrived. It's also my 24th birthday, and so I've convinced this handful of friends to come in lieu of a birthday party. I know Keegan from a summer camp that we counsel at, Camp Vanessa, and B from volunteering at Folk Fest. They're a godsend because I've been having mysterious joint pain, and so I can't really lift much of anything. I had spent Folk Fest sad, alone in the grass next to a walkie, and summer camp with my shoulder in a sling after swimming. I had a couple tests done a few days ago, and I was found to have high rheumatoid factor, which is somewhat ominous, but I leave them with the truck and I go into the office to get the keys and do the inspection. This is also my first time seeing the unit, as I haven't actually seen the specific one. I just saw a model and the floor plan.
Ready? Okay, you excited? We just have to go through the parkade to get to the unit.
Can't wait. Turns out going through the parkade is good because we were unloading in front of the wrong elevator. So we redirect everyone to the right elevator and I start to make my way up. It starts to hit me that I'm actually about to see my own place for the very first time. Like I said, I have no idea what to expect. So I'm very surprised when they open the door and I'm greeted with the most incredible view I could have possibly imagined. I barely have a second to take it in, though, before the keys are in my hands and I'm back in the loading dock. Truck is basically unpacked just in time for our elevator booking, and we start to bring it up. We're done within the hour, but the last thing to come up is my massive, unwieldy couch. It fits in the elevator fine, but getting it into the apartment is a tight squeeze. But everyone holds their tongue just right, and it slides in. Everyone starts helping me unpack. Clothes are put in closet, books on shelves. Food is ordered. My mom leaves eventually, and drinks are had. And then finally, I'm sitting alone in my own place for the very first time. And thanks to the friends and family that came out to support, it was already full of memories. A new chapter had begun. Mysterious joint pain wasn't the only health complication I've been dealing with, though, and so 5 days later I find myself in a hospital bed with a bite box in my mouth about to get knocked out. Now, for context, in May of 2022, I took 2 bites of a butter chicken wrap before it immediately got stuck in my throat. Now, this is something I'd experienced many times growing up, and I always just assumed was a result of my poor chewing, but unlike my usual routine, the water I attempted to drink to dislodge it just sort of pooled and fell out of my mouth. And so my coworker had driven me to the hospital, where I found out that I might not be just a bad chewer. I might have a fancy medical condition called eosinophilic esophagitis, EOE for short. What this essentially means is that certain foods can cause my throat to not be smooth, but instead ribbed. But they just want to see if it's still flaring. And so luckily my new place is literally across the street from the hospital, so my mom gets me the block home afterwards, and now we just wait for the results. The summer camp that I counsel at, Camp Finesse, is a Christian one, specifically Moravian. Side note, I didn't realize when I was writing this script that I'd be performing it in front of one of the few Moravian churches in Edmonton. But the Moravian motto is, in essentials liberty, in non-essentials unity, and in all things love. And they're good people. And I know it's a hard pitch, but it really is a cool Christian summer camp. I've been counseling in a gender-neutral cabin, and one of the other people I met there is my pastor friend, Aaron. Now, I went to church growing up and summer camp every summer, but I also went through a pretty bad r/atheism phase as a teenager. And I can remember the moment that Aaron's approach to Christianity entirely reoriented my very jaded view. I remember we were in a late-night discussion, and he said, "If hell exists, he hopes it's empty." And suddenly I was reminded of the kindness and forgiveness I so loved in the tiny community church I attended growing up. So when Aaron asked me to be part of the ceremony to affirm him as the pastor of his new home church, I'm honored. And so that's where I'm standing, in front of his congregation, in my suit, welcoming him as a member of the community. A few days later, my driver's license comes in. Now, if there's anything that might convince me there's a God above who loves me, it's the photo on my driver's license. You may recognize it from the poster on the show. Let's just take a moment to appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. The EOE doctor follows up. He lets me know that my esophagus is looking worse than it did in May when I choked on the butter chicken wrap, which means the diagnosis is confirmed. He lets me know that we're going to have to figure out what's triggering it, and so I'm going to have to go on an elimination diet. He also says that there were some indications that I might be celiac, but we're still waiting on those results as well. So no dietary changes yet, which is good because I'm already overwhelmed as it is. I'm working 24 hours a week on top of a full course load. So in addition to Drama 483 Elements of Directing, I'm also taking Drama 406 Contemporary Approaches to Theater, Philosophy 492 Topics and Phenomenology, and Drama 401 Research and Critical Writing. This last one's for the combined thesis that I'm going to be writing with drama and philosophy. I also have directing midterms coming up, which means involved acting in 2 scenes and directing 1, which means all my spare time is spent in rehearsals. On the upside, I get a lot closer with my group mates, Matt and Hannah. The midterm is 2 days out now, and I haven't got groceries for at least a week, but it's okay. I've got enough Katie and ramen to see me from here to Judgment Day. So I'm in my family doctor's office explaining the pain I've been experiencing. She listens and sends me downstairs to do some x-rays of my hands, which is where most of the pain is. I've been having difficulty gripping and carrying items. I'm going to show the x-ray now. I hope no one's uncomfortable with medical imagery. Got him. The results are in for the EOE. So, on a goal of less than 15 eosinophils, we've got 41 in my upper tract and 32 in my lower, which means the elimination diet is going to have to happen. And so what exactly is an elimination diet? It's very simple, really. All it means is you can't have any of the major allergens. So, that means no gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, nuts, or seafood. Given as this is such a big change, I've been told that I can wait until I speak to the dietitian.
Oh, but we were able to confirm that you do meet the criteria for celiac disease, which means no gluten, starting immediately.
I frantically asked my one coworker who's celiac where I can eat in the mall as I didn't pack a lunch, and she says New York fries, so poutine it is. As I sit, I review the information sheet that the doctor sent over. Okay, so gluten is in wheat, barley, and rye. 42 days after getting my legal name change certificate, less than a month after getting my new driver's license, I find out I am allergic to rye. I've always known I couldn't tolerate myself, but this feels a little on the nose. I get home that night and I look at the mountains of KD and ramen and I realize I really should have gone grocery shopping. But the next day is the directing midterms and I wake up in pain without the energy to walk over to the grocery store, so I eat the carrots that are in my fridge and make my way over. I apologize to my group mates and the professor and explain that I'm there, I'm going to do my best, but I am hungry and overwhelmed and kind of out of it, and I feel bad because I don't want to mess up the scenes, but everyone's nice and the scenes go well, actually. It's the first time I performed in front of people in a long time and it felt pretty good. Midterms day 2. The pressure's off. I just need to run the board for another group. But as I'm sitting there, Hannah walks up to me and she's got 2 grocery bags in her hands.
I was so worried about you not having any food, so I went and picked up some stuff.
Kindness of the gesture rocks me. They're full of gluten-free alternatives and snacks, and I start eating some of it right away. We make it through the midterms just in time to start our auditions for the final scenes. I find myself, one of the other courses I'm taking is Drama 406, like I said, and the professor is incredible, and the content is so interesting. Unfortunately, that interest isn't converting into writing, and so I find myself emailing the professor asking for an extension. Our midterm is supposed to be due a week today, and I have nothing, not even an idea. So I email her asking if I could get some advice and maybe an extension for a week or 2, and she grants it. So I have my new deadline of November 2nd. The auditions are over for directing and it's showdown time. Everyone needs at least 2 performers with overlapping availability. I need 3.5, and with my work school schedule, all of my rehearsals have to be in the mornings. Elbows are thrown, contingency plans made and ran through, but eventually everyone, including me, has their cast. Now we just have to wait for them to accept. There's 1 more day before reading week, and I am struggling hard. But I just need to make it 1 more day, and then finally I can rest and relax. When I get a text from an old friend from high school.
Hey, I meant to get in touch sooner regarding seeing you and how nice that was. That aside, though, Riley passed away this week, and I don't know if you know.
The words don't make sense. Riley? That can't be right. We weren't particularly close in high school. She was always a year below me, but all our interactions were incredible. Everyone loves Riley. Riley loves everyone. Loved? We went to Vic, which is an art school, and when you graduate, you can be asked to sign the walls backstage. Riley's reads, "It's okay to stand alone, to be the quiet one in a room full of chatter, to care deeper than ever before. Thank you for the joy of being alive." My friend doesn't know many details. I go to my friend's place a couple days later and we talk about Riley, how incredible she was, her presence in every room, on stage too. We talk about how there's lots of people we didn't expect to live to 30 that we went to high school with, but Riley wasn't one of them. As we talk, I am suddenly reminded of my drama midterm. I emailed the professor and explained the recent loss and that I don't see myself finishing this. I asked if I could write the final essay for 55% instead, and she says yes. I make it through reading week, not feeling particularly rested, but at least on Friday, I have a winter retreat at Camp Vanessa to look forward to, so I go to that and come home on the Saturday and go straight to rehearsal. Next day, I go to work and I break down. I go into the office and I explain that I'm just so overwhelmed and I can't take it anymore and I need a break. And my manager listens and says he supports me 100% and asks what I need in that moment. And I say to go home and he says good. The problem isn't solved, but at least I can breathe for a little bit. And I've got enough student loans to stay afloat, at least for a while. I have decided on my thesis topic, though. I'm going to be studying this director Milo Rao's production, The Congo Tribunal, through a Marxist lens. I won't bore you with more details, but part of the reason is that my drama professor, Pete, is an expert in Milo Rao, which means I've got my advisor locked in. My philosophy advisor, it's been a bit more of a journey. My first choice is not taking on any more students, and so it's suggested I reach out to a sociology professor instead. I'm told there might be a process to approve it, but that's my best shot, so. I'm at the dentist.
Then the braid piercing, it's fairly new, isn't it?
Yeah. Has it caused more chipping? I know it did when I first got it, but I haven't noticed anything.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's just your bottom gums are starting to recede.
So bye-bye, LeBray. At least you were immortalized in my driver's license. The sociology professor isn't taking on any more honor students, so back to the drawing board. But then it suggested I reach out to my philosophy prof, Amy, and she accepts. Success. I finally have both of my honors advisors. Just in time to start the elimination diet. So, just to recap, on top of no gluten, I now am having no dairy, eggs, soy, nuts, or seafood. And this will be the case for the next 2 months until my scope on January 23rd. Guess it's time to learn to cook. And just perfect timing as well, as the directing midterms or finals are just around the corner. Speaking of which, I find myself in the tech for another director's scene. I have the very fun job of dropping rose petals from the grid on top of the audience, and so I get myself in position, get it all within reach, and start to lower myself down. It's at this point, with zero weight on the foot, that my left ankle stops moving. Now, this is something that I experience quite often. In junior high, I jumped off a desk and landed on a metal water bottle, so ever since then, it locks up here and there, but it usually goes away on its own, so I text Matt, who's one of the other techs, hey, no big deal, but I think I just hurt my ankle literally by lying down, but it's fine, I can still drop the pedals, so no reason to stop rehearsal. We go through the tech. I realize, yeah, this does not seem to be slotting back in place. I drop the pedals perfectly, I might add, and we make it to the end of rehearsal when Matt calls up.
Still need a hand?
Yeah, chaos erupts.
What do you mean? What's happening? Their ankles acting Why did no one tell me? How long has this been going on? The whole rehearsal? They told us not to tell you.
Luckily, the grid has stairs, and so I'm hopped down and into the director's car. Hannah's there looking up emergency room wait times. Car full, we head over to the closest one where my mom takes over watch. I'm there all night, and they can't do much but give me some crutches, and so I texted everyone and let them know I won't be in class the next day. A few days later, though, we're at the directing finals, and I am back on my feet. My cast opens the scenes, and they nail it. I get to watch the petals fall from the audience, and I appreciate that I get to see it from that perspective. The final scene gets set up, and I am suddenly frozen. One of the actresses looks exactly like Riley, and the scene is about death and ghosts, and for a second, it feels like I'm watching her perform again. And then the applause starts, and it hits me that she's really gone. I try to, as discreetly as possible, go into the wings, and I just break down. Hannah finds me shortly after, and I try to explain, but the words are hard.
But you came here to get away from people. Do you want me to go?
The consideration is so important, and it makes me realize, no, I don't want her to go. I don't want to be alone. I just want someone there. I can't even form the words. I just silently shake my head, and so there she stayed. We make it through the directing finals, so all that's left is to write my final essays for my other courses and start planning my next semester. So far, the plan is, I'm going to be taking philosophy 270, political philosophy, Int D 450, video games, which is this capstone for the certificate in computer game development, where we will be making a whole video game. Philosophy 401, topics in epistemology, and Int D 520, which is for that thesis. But I can't stop thinking about how much I loved production design last year. Building stuff just gets me out of my head. And anticipating the upcoming semester, I just think that would be helpful. There is one course, Drama 295, but it's supposed to be just open to BFA Tech students. So I reached out to the professor and asked if he would have me back, and with his blessing, the request is approved. I have to drop political philosophy, but it's worth it. When will that be relevant anyway? And with that said, I finally get to check my handy-dandy graduation spreadsheet. Now, I have meticulously maintained this thing from the start of my university career to now. It has both honors requirements tiered based on dependencies, and it's all paid off because all that work has meant that I now have every single Drama 203 performance analysis. No, I must have taken that. Was it always a requirement? Okay, no need to panic. Maybe I am technically one course short of a full course load. Maybe I can slot it in, and then I see it. The only time Drama 203 is offered clashes with 295. But the professor for 203 is my honors advisor, Pete. And considering my thesis is just one big performance analysis, I think I have a pretty good case. So I emailed the undergraduate advisor asking if I could pretty please not take it. I am told that they'll ask, but no promises. But to show I'm serious, I do hand in my thesis proposal. I find myself emailing my 406 professor asking for an extension on that 55% final essay, just for a couple weeks. She grants it, and I hand it in. It's not good, but I just need to pass. C's get degrees. And the grades start coming in. Drama 401. B+. My medical leave ends. I have to go back to work, and luckily my team is able to pick up the slack again, as I still can't really lift anything. I get an email from my 406 professor. A very kind email. All I wanted to do was pass. That was my entire goal. And I did not hit that goal.
I know you've had an exceptionally difficult semester, but this paper is not up to the expectations of this class or your capabilities. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt and allow you space to redo this, if you choose.
I graciously accept her offer, and I have my new deadline of January 13th. This does strike some fear in my heart, though, and so I email my philosophy professor asking how important that page count is. That one's supposed to be 10, and I have 7, and it's due tonight. So I email her explaining that I'm aware I'll take a 4% hit for every day it's late, but I would really appreciate a bit of an extension and some information on how to expand a bit. She gives it and tells me not to worry about handing it in late. And the next day, I do. The phenomenology of non-binary existence. We get more grades. Drama 406. Incomplete. Fair. Drama 483. Hey! Thank you. Fiddle 492. B+. Thank you, it's still reasonable. Speaking of bees, my friend B is having a New Year's party, and it's 70s theme, and I dress to impress. I asked Keegan to get a good candid photo of me, because it's hard to get a good candid photo of me at a party. Here's an example of the typical shot that I get, and he delivers. I promise I did talk to people. I follow up with the undergraduate advisors about 203 as I haven't heard back. They tell me they're going to have a meeting in a couple days, but they suggest I enroll preemptively. I explain that I'd have to unenroll in 295 to do so, so I'll wait to hear their decision. And so I go to the first day of 295. It's every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and I love it. I cannot wait to escape there every single week. I have to take 203. Wah, wah. We finally made it to the day of my scope. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed at 9 a.m. I've fasted since last night. As I'm sitting there, though, I start to hear rumblings from all around. There's some issues with communication. The OR can't talk to the rest of the hospital. Turns out, AHS was experiencing a province-wide network outage starting at 9 a.m., which meant my scope has to be rescheduled, which means I fasted for nothing. Luckily, they say they can get me in fairly soon on February 1st. And before I can complain too much, I hear them explain the situation to the person in the next bed over, who was scheduled for a colonoscopy. And I appreciate how relatively simple my prep is. My dad and my stepmom Connie are in town, and so we meet up at Hexagon. My dad doesn't want to play any games, but he's happy to play on his phone until I call it out. We're not particularly close, and so I fill them in on all the school and health stuff, and it goes well. A few days later, and we have the scope attempt 2. This one goes off without a hitch, and my mom gets me the block home afterwards. Now we just wait for the results. Turns out February 1st was the deadline to graduate, so I emailed the undergraduate advisors asking if I could pretty please graduate, and they say they can submit it on my behalf, so crisis averted. 4 months after I find out my blood has high rheumatoid factor, 6 months after the joint pain started, I'm finally in the office of the rheumatologist. She looks at my joints and says that essentially all of them are inflamed, and so I get my diagnosis: rheumatoid arthritis. She also lets me know that we'll be starting an oral medication called hydroxyquin, as well as an injection called methotrexate. Now here's the thing. Me and needles don't do well together. When I was 5, it took 4 grown adults to hold me down and give me my vaccinations. The testosterone I take is a gel that I rub on my arm. The doctor says it'll be self-administered, and I explain that will not be the case. So I ask if a pharmacist would be able to help me out. She says yes, and so I'm on my way. Luckily, my building has a pharmacy built in, and I have a good relationship with the pharmacist, Bob. You may recognize him from the benches outside of said pharmacy. It's really him. He lets me know that the shots will start in a week, and the pills will just take a couple days to come in. I have an honors advising meeting. They give me 2 deadlines. They say, let's write my first draft, very rough, based on the research I've already done, on February 24th, a few weeks from now. And a month from now, on March 7th, we'll follow up and discuss what further research is required. I start the hydroxyquin. Feels good just doing something. And then the day comes for the methotrexate. I'm nervous, but I'm more excited for something that might actually help, and Bob's gentle and makes the whole process relatively painless. And the next day I wake up, and I'm not in pain. The mornings were the worst, partially because of the terrible sleep I'd been having. I had to stop using a weighted blanket because I didn't have the strength to move under it overnight, so I just end up pinned in one position, which made the morning pain significantly worse. But today I can get out of bed. I don't feel perfect by any means, but I feel better than I have in months. And I feel hope. And with that energy, I decide to go play some board games and get some food with Keegan. We go to this restaurant that's 95% gluten-free, which is perfect, and I order a pork arepo. I take 2 bites before I'm horrified to feel my throat closing on it. I then am mortified to feel the need to vomit, which I go to the bathroom and do. Keegan is nothing but kind and supportive, but the hangout is very much over, and I start to make my way back home / towards the hospital if need be, but as I walk, the symptoms fade, but I'm still rattled. What could have caused it? Was it cross-contamination? Are my reactions just significantly worse now, or did this have some big EOE trigger I'm not aware of? I email the restaurant and ask for the list of ingredients, which they readily offer, and I explain that this isn't their fault, but we just add it to the mystery board, I guess. Luckily this happens after the scope, because the doctor calls me and lets me know that everything is looking clear. My eosinophils are back down in our target range. I explain about the pork arepo, and he expresses concern, but suggests that we continue on with our plan. And he actually surprises me. He lets me know that both seafood and nuts are relatively unlikely to be triggers, and so I get to have them both back, which means fake dairy opens up. I also hand in my first draft of my thesis. Now, I haven't got a concrete answer when it comes to page count. In philosophy, I'm told they tend to be 25 to 50 pages. In drama, they're closer to 25. So that's what we're shooting for. And with my first draft done, I have 6. Yeah. I'm attending my friend Carly's original show in my own little corner. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm excited, and I attend a relaxed performance, which just means you can come and go as you please. They have some fidget toys available. I end up being very grateful for both of these accommodations because it becomes very clear very quickly that the subject of this show is our mutual music director, Randy Mueller, who died a year or so earlier. The show's incredible. It's a testament to this beautiful and profound friendship that the two of them shared, and it really is a testament to her incredible talents. But Randy was a very special person. I was one of the few people who could steal food from his piano, and I have very fond memories of him yelling at us from behind there because our sassometers were way too low. The show featured both actual audio of him yelling from behind the piano, as well as a very talented voice actor's recreation of some of the things he wrote late in life when he lost the ability to talk. For the second time this year, I felt like I was watching someone I lost on stage again. And I cried a lot, and it was cathartic, and I'm glad I went. I get an email letting me know that the Drama Honors Symposium has been scheduled for March 23rd, 20 days from now. Now, for some context, when you write a thesis, your department will typically have you present the results of that work, which means I have to present twice. In philosophy, that symposium is intended as more of a workshop. The idea is you present what you have, you get feedback, and then you can incorporate that into your final product. That one is scheduled for March 30th, a week after the drama one. The drama one has a very different expectation. The drama one expects you to present the entirety of your thesis, which, may I remind you, is currently 6 pages long. So I send them an email explaining that I already have the 30th booked off, so could we maybe do the 22nd or 29th? I personally would prefer the 29th. I get a response letting me know the 22nd will have to do. 19 days from now. I have the honors meeting though, and I get my new deadline for my second draft, March 27th. They also give me some guidance on where to go further. My apartment has been undergoing renovations basically since I moved in, but today really takes the cake. I open my door and I'm greeted with plastic sheeting like an episode of Dexter. I think they were changing out the lighting fixtures. I get an email letting me know that the Drama Honors Symposium has been rescheduled to April 12th. Thank the Lord. My drama advisor, Pete, is organizing a showing of the Congo Tribunal at Metro Cinema with experts, and one of them actually agrees to meet with me a couple days earlier, and so we get a coffee, and we start discussing the weird world of theory that Rouse created. And then I'm sitting in Metro Cinema next to my mom, about to watch the topic of my thesis that I've watched dozens of times in my bedroom alone, and it just hits me what an incredible opportunity this is. That I'm going to see this in front of all these other people with these experts, and it just washes over me. I use that information to hand in my second draft of my thesis. We are a few weeks out, and I am up to 10 pages. In retrospect, this is terrifying. I also get an email from the Certificate in International Learning Advisor, who lets me know that I'm almost there for that one. I just need to write 1,000 to 1,500 word reflection. I explain that I've tried, and I have about 500 words, and seeing how it's due in a couple days, I don't see myself finishing it. She offers some advice, and it extends the deadline to April 14th. I present at the Philosophy Symposium. It's janky, but I get my ideas across. And the feedback is really helpful, and this discussion is super lively. And I find out afterwards that it actually continued for a while after I left. Big hand-in day. I hand in my final essay for Drama 203. I hand in the reflection for the Certificate in International Learning. And I hand in my third draft of my thesis. But we haven't gained any pages. A few days later, though, and I am up to 15 pages. And I'm starting to realize that I might not be able to do this. A few days later, 17 pages. And a final draft. I email my advisors and essentially hold them hostage. I explain that if I'm going to automatically fail with the page count I have, I will get it up to 25, but I will not be adding any more content, just fluff. They agree to read what I have. I figure I'm in the hospital, I'm in the pharmacy already once a week, getting a shot in one arm. Might as well do testosterone in the other one. Saves me rubbing the gel every day. So I'm sitting there as the substitute pharmacist tries to line up the shot.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find some muscle.
Well, hopefully the testosterone will help with that. Yeah. I write my 203 final in the morning. I go and meet up with my video game group in the afternoon, and we hand in Gaslight. And all that's left now is the Drama Honor Symposium and my thesis, which are both due in 2 days. I am reviewing the notes that I have flagged, and one of them was flagged for investigation. So I start digging in, and I realize it's exactly the piece that my thesis has been missing. So I start re-editing and rewriting. And then the next day, at 8:48 a.m., I hand it in. Real Change Through Theater, Milo Rouse, the Congo Tribunal. At a whopping 18 pages, I don't think it'll win any awards, but I am confident it will pass. And in the afternoon, I go to the Drama Honors Symposium where I present. Luckily, I go first, as my fellow honor students puts mine to shame, but the important thing is it's done. I have finally officially completed all my coursework. And with my GPA the way it is, as long as I get a grade on my thesis, I am going to graduate. I finally feel confident texting my dad and stepmom Connie and inviting them to convocation. Grades start coming in. Drama 203. B plus. Thank you, thank you. Int D 450. A! I follow up with the esophagus doctor. I explain that I haven't noticed any symptoms since reintroducing nuts and seafood, and he says in that case we don't need to do another scope before we reintroduce soy. Tofu, here I come. Phil, 401. B plus. Thank you. And finally, it comes in. My thesis grade. Now remember, all we're hoping for is a C. We just want to pass. And A minus! Let's go! May goes relatively uneventfully. I open up my work availability, but as I start working random shifts, it starts to dawn on me that I might need consistency in schedule. I'm working significantly less than I have all year, and yet I feel no less overwhelmed and exhausted. But I'm hopeful that it's just a transition period. And then the day finally comes. Convocation. Truly countless deadlines and extensions later, I am finally going to graduate. I wear pins that read they, them, and they sit over my gown. I meet my dad and my mom in the lobby, and we split off to our respective seats while my stepmom Connie watches from the live stream.
Rye Fournier, Bachelor of Arts, Honors in Drama and Philosophy, Certificate in International Learning, Certificate in Computer Game Development.
And now all that's left is trying to give these robes back in the bookstore.
You need to come back tomorrow.
I leave. And with convocation done and my grad photos taken, I get the eyebrow piercing of my dreams. I go to work, and I explain that I'm struggling hard with this open availability. I ask if there's something we can work out, and so we agree that I'll work from noon to close every day. Most of the people in my area prefer opening anyway, so it's really not a huge deal. And then a position opens up that's 2 steps above me in the area I already am. 3 months after I graduated, the timing just feels perfect. And I know that competition is going to be stiff, but I think I'm a very strong contender. So I update my resume to address the role, and I send it off. And luckily, I can't stress too much about it because my next few weeks are very, very busy. Did I miss something? No, yeah. I go to visit my step family in Cochrane. I used to see them every summer when they lived in Ontario, but I haven't visited since they moved to Alberta. I'm a little nervous, mainly because I don't know exactly how my dad and stepmom land on the whole trans thing. They met in the early 2000s when they created an online forum for conservative Canadians. But they've expressed nothing but support, so I just don't really know what to expect. But I go and everyone's lovely. The pronouns are a bit of an adventure, and I experience what I can only describe as being transgenerationally transgender. My dad and stepmom and their generation all still use she, her. My step-siblings are all they, them. And then the kids all default to he, him, which I think is the closest a non-binary person gets to passing. I get home and go straight to summer camp. Seeing my campers again fills me with so much joy. Some of my trans campers, though, talk about bullying they face, and as someone who came out later in life, I feel a little helpless. Midweek, though, I have to go back into town to get my shots, and as Bob is lining them up, I check my email and see that I got my lease renewal offer. I open it and my heart sinks. $17.36 a month. I already couldn't afford to live there. Even if I get the new job at work, I don't think I'll be able to live there anymore. Oh, but speaking of which, my phone rings and it's work, and there's only one reason they'd be calling, so I answer.
Hi, Rye. So I'm just calling to let you know that we will not be moving forward with your application. And looks like the feedback that was provided was that your resume didn't address the role. Have a good day.
I feel numb driving back to summer camp. I see Aaron, and for the third time this year, I just break down. I explain everything, the lease, the job, life. I explain how I feel so helpless for my trans campers, and he explains that he feels the same way for me right now, and all he can do is be there. And he's right. It helps just being there. When I get back to the campers, one of them hands me a portrait that he drew. I'm back in the hospital to do my new scope. I've explained that I haven't noticed any symptoms since reintroducing soy, but we would just want to make sure that everything's clear on the inside. He lets me know that as long as everything looks good, we'll be getting back either dairy or eggs. I pray for dairy, because the idea of having to learn how to eat eggs every day without it just sounds like a nightmare. I'm at work when I overhear a coworker talking about how her tenants have just moved out, and she doesn't know what she's going to do with the place. I ask how much she's renting for and explain that I'm looking for a new place starting in September. She says for me, she'd be happy if I just covered the condo fees. And I say, sounds great, and so we schedule a viewing. I get the follow-up call from the esophagus doctor. We're getting back eggs. I decide to take my health into my own hands, and I buy 5 different types of cheese. We're getting dairy back whether they like it or not. I'm at Riley's celebration of life. The functions as a melancholy 5-year reunion, and while the mood is somber, it is nice to see everyone again. One of my classmates has a baby on her hip. Something I didn't anticipate was that a lot of people refer to her as Rye. As someone who struggled with their mental health and tried to take their own life as a teenager when I was socializing with these people, it adds a unique element to my experience, but the ceremony is beautiful, and it's clear that everyone there loved Riley as much as she loved everyone. The next day, my Uncle John dies. I'm struck by the difference in my grief. I hope some of you can appreciate what I mean when I say my Uncle John was that uncle. We weren't particularly close. I wasn't out as non-binary with him, but I am reminded of when I was in the hospital after that suicide attempt, and he came to visit me, and I didn't really want to see him, but I wasn't going to be rude, and I'll never forget. He said,
Hey, I know you're probably scared. I had to stay in a place like this for alcohol once, and I thought I don't want to be locked in here with these freaks, but this will help you. This is where you need to be.
It was a moment where he was still undeniably himself, but it's also the only time I can really remember us connecting, and And now he's dead. I go to view the new apartment. It is unreal. I cannot believe that I might be living here. My coworker says I can have some time to think, and I say, let's get these papers signed. I get home and I decide to make myself a pork tenderloin that's been tucked in the back of my freezer. Some olive oil, seasoning salt. I take a bite and don't swallow. It was pork. I'm allergic to pork. Mystery solved. A few days later, and I'm at my Uncle John's funeral. My dad gives the eulogy and tells the story of when my Uncle John burned down a cabin. My dad does good. I give my condolences to my Aunt Yoli, and as afterwards at the reception, I'm outside doing traffic control as the building's a little confusing. I see a couple people approach who I don't recognize. I assume they're my aunt's coworkers, so I try to get them along. Oh yeah, hi, yeah, just this way, yeah. I'm Rye, nice to meet ya.
How do you know the family?
Oh, he was my uncle.
Oh, are you related to the brother who gave the eulogy?
Oh yeah, that's my dad.
Oh, okay. So, is Mariah your cousin?
Yes. I follow them in, I say goodbye to my mom and my aunt, and as I'm leaving, I hear them approach.
So where's Mariah? She couldn't make it?
Conversation for another time. But that brings us to Folk Fest. Folk Fest is my home. It's my element. One of the things I'm most grateful for is that my mom embedded in me and embedded me in community. And Folk Fest is the epitome. I've been coming every year since she coordinated family crew at 9 months pregnant. And where last year I was sad, alone in the grass, this year I find stage control and my home. I have a massive whiteboard full of magnets that I get to use to track all the equipment that moves in the festival. I'm valuable and valued. And then, for the first time, after 25 years of attending this festival, I get to stand on stage in the closing ceremonies next to some of the other volunteers that make it happen and sing 4 Strong Winds from the stage. And all that's left is to start packing. I asked my friends and family to contribute to professional movers this time, and after some back and forth, we come up with an agreement. I have the elevator and them for 3. At 8 p.m., the movers arrive. At 10 p.m., I'm sitting in the truck waiting for my couch to come down. I'm waiting for 10 minutes, then 15. After 20, they come out empty-handed.
Hey, Ray. That lighting fixture outside your door in the hallway, was it there when you moved in?
No, it wasn't. In their renovations, they decided to hang a lighting fixture directly outside my door. So the tight squeeze that we managed to get the couch in does not work in reverse. They escape back up, and after what I understand involved taking the door off its hinges and putting it back on, the couch is in the truck. I text my landlord coworker and explain that I'm aware that quiet hours are after 11 p.m. and I'm so sorry for breaking them on literally my first day, but by 11:59 I'm sitting in my new place. I have made it through this year. I am no longer in pain. I'm in a place I can afford, and I graduated. I have been Rye for a whole year, legally, and what an amazing year it was. And I never could have made it if it wasn't for the community that came together and at times literally carried me through. So to that I just say thank you.
Thank you. The phone calls, the flowers, the dinners, and the bars.
Thank you so much for coming to our closing night. It means so much to me. I've got some shirts in the back. If you like them, take them. But yeah, again, it just means so much. I hope you guys had a good time and have a good night. Thank you.
I felt the love run down.